What is going on, you guys? Thank you for listening and viewing the Verse Podcast, guys. I want to say one thing. I want to say thank you guys for coming out to Gramercy Theater for Santa Palooza. It was a great time. The Warped Tour band, GKM. It was an amazing time hearing all the old vintage pop punk hits and also GKM's new album, guys. Thank you guys for coming out, rocking the Verse beanies over at Santa Palooza. Great time in the city. Big accomplishment there. But we're moving on down the road. So we are doing interviews for What a Wonderful Year Festival. And today we have producer and composer Ryan Gregg.
Smoke clears in uncertainty, pulling back the curtain. We see that we are all getting screwed just the same. I live in the moment, I'm keeping the faith, I'm doing the best I can do. The ground keeps on shifting, I try to keep pace, but it feels like I'm hustling in place. But it feels like I'm hustling in place. Good to meet you. Thanks for having me.
What up, Brian? How are you?
How's it going, man?
What's up, guys?
How's it getting here today? Was it good? Everything
It was
fine?
I used to come here quite a bit. I delivered sandwiches for a deli in these parts
nice.
years ago. Yeah.
So you know the ins and outs.
I know, yeah. There's corporate parks, you
Yeah.
know, the cubicle farms all over this place.
Yeah.
That's why they call it Eatontown.
Yeah. I was just like brand new introduced to this area recently. So like we said, this is a new studio for us guys and good so far. So Ryan is the second interview we're having here. And Ryan, you want to tell us about your background into music?
Yeah, I am a piano player by trade. I've been working since I was a very, very young kid at piano. Went to school at Frost in Miami for music.
Oh, wow.
I was went for film composing. Thought that was where I was going to end up, but played in a lot of live bands in Miami at that time and kind of fell in love with performance.
Miami, wow.
And after that, I was playing in a band out of the city for a few years, and even though I grew up in the area, I played my first note in Asbury Park when I was around 25.
Oh, wow.
So
Where was that? Where did you?
I mean, I got into the local jam band scene.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, well, actually, not even the local jam scene. It's like the open jams.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Rob Dye hosts one at the downtown in Red Bank before it became something else. They used to host a blues jam there, and that's where my introduction to a lot of those guys came. And then I started my own band called the Shady Street Show Band about almost 15 years ago at this point. Mm-hmm. Things have been slowed down with them, but I was able to kind of find my way into a lot of the Asbury scene through that band. We were the house band for the Pony for about 4 months in 2012. The hurricane cut it short just because, you know, Sandy
ruined everyone.
Yeah, ruined everybody. I've been playing. I pretty much played every venue in Asbury Park at this point.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I feel those jam sessions are very underrated. A lot of good talent comes out of those.
It's I don't want to try not to curse. It's
Be
a lot.
Free.
Yeah, it's a shit show. I mean, like, you know, sometimes it depends on the jam. Every jam's got a different flavor. You know, the Chubby Pickle's got a great Tuesday. Jamie has a great Sunday. In this area, there's a jam happening somewhere every day of the week. Mm-hmm. In just even Monmouth County, you know, and Jersey's so. I mean, there's an entire scene north. There's an entire scene down south that is independent of this, so it's pretty wild once you kind of start spreading your wings in this area.
I wanted to ask you said in Miami you were playing. What's the scene like over there?
It's tough.
Yeah
'Cause
I know it's like a lot of clubs, right?
It's a lot of clubs. It's I mean, I haven't been active in that scene in a long time.
Yeah.
I have friends that are promoters down there. One in particular, my buddy Eric Garcia, plays in a band called Juke and has he's a one-man band called Uncle Scotchy, which is like him on guitar and like a drum set on his feet. Like,
Oh,
doing
nice.
The whole thing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome! Like
It's
a
cool.
one-man type
Yeah.
of band.
It's
Oh,
a
that's
whole
amazing.
thing. There's a whole scene of those guys that
Uh-huh.
do that.
That's amazing.
And he wrote his own blues opera in the last couple years. But back then I was in a cover band in college,
Mhm.
which was a great time at that time. All like the Shameless covers, Come Sail Away and Black Betty. And like, it was,
Love that.
the 80s were huge when I was in college. So that was
Yeah.
what we were covering. And, and I met a lot of friends I still have from down there, and I since have played the South a pretty fair amount.
Where in South usually? Play?
I've played recently. I was down in Asheville and Nashville and Atlanta with Brother and Sister, which is an Allman Project featuring
Allman Brothers, right?
Yes, Melody and Butch Trucks. I'm sorry, Melody and Vailer Trucks, who are Butch's kids,
Uh-huh.
run that project. And there's a lot of incredibly killer players. Eric Sanders on drums, just from that area in Atlanta. And that's one of the really cool things about what I do, is because, I'm an artist and a singer-songwriter, but I'm also a gun.
Mhm.
And that's a huge part of what I do, and it's a huge part of my identity, and it's a huge reason why I'm able to network on the level that I am,
Mhm.
because I'm in and out of so many projects. I get to meet a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's been your favorite project you worked on?
It comes down to the people. I'm not going to name names, but like, it's, if you're working with guys who listen, if you're working with guys who know what they're doing, it creates a freedom
Mhm.
that you can pretty much play whatever you want,
Yeah.
and that is the most fun. Like, I'm a guy, throw me on a gig, give me the songs a day in advance and I'll be fine, and like, let's do it. And if you're working with guys who really can know what they're doing, it's a fun way to do things.
Yeah. So when you start writing music, what instrument do you lean towards first in the writing process?
I'm a piano player.
piano player.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's my instrument.
Who's your favorite artist that play piano?
Dr. John.
Dr. John?
Yeah,
Okay.
he's my number one.
That's amazing. So a lot of your inspiration comes from that?
A lot of it comes from him, Randy Newman, Tom Waits,
Mm-hmm.
the old jazz guys, Oscar Peterson, Count Basie, Otis Spann's a blues guy. Even like Garth Hudson from the band is another one. Just mainly older, from the 60s and 70s players.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What's your since you've been playing? You played a lot of like different states. What's your favorite state to play in?
I really enjoy the South. It's, the closer you get to New York City, the more jaded people are.
Mhm.
We
And-
just had a show in New York, and the scene is like not the same as it used to be.
It's
They
tough.
like moved to Brooklyn more than Manhattan.
There's heavy competition,
Mhm.
and even on like as a gun, like, the gigs are like held closely, like, it's where in this area, I can count on both hands the amount of piano players that I could call for a gig, that we're
Mhm.
trading with each other. We're like, hey, I can't make this one. I can't make this one. Can you do this one? Can you do this one? Everyone's just working. And
Yeah.
there isn't that same kind of sense of feast or famine. Everyone's helping each other, and it's a very unique scene in this country, is this
Mhm.
area, because Jersey's so dense, but also it's not like one city. There's plenty of people around here,
Yeah.
and plenty of work, which is nice. And the South, like, when you show up to a smaller town that is kind of isolated or not near a city or whatever, like, it's a big deal when you show up. When you show up with a band, when you come and you're playing their place, like the one place that's open on that night in that town, in that area, like, it's a different thing. And like, those people are so grateful that you're there, and it's just, they'll bake you a pie or whatever the hell it is. But like, it's a much, we're in New York, from 4 p.m. to 4 a.m., you have 12 1-hour time slots, and none of the bands know each other. It's not a bill. You've got time slots. Your people show up for your show and they're gone when you're done.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then they have to pay a cover, and you got to pay money to get into the city, and I've gotten tickets in my car parked in front of a venue in that fucking city. So it's like it's not the most welcome place for musicians. Yeah. And I get the whole shtick of like, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, but like, fuck off, you know? It's like, yeah, I want to enjoy my time along the way. And I played a couple really cool venues. I was at Brooklyn Bowl a couple weeks ago, and like that was great.
Oh, nice.
And, like,
okay.
Santos Party House back in the day, it was incredible. That was Andrew WK's spot.
Yep. Andrew WK, love it, love me some Andrew WK.
I had a gig there. Knocked on the door, 2 p.m. loading in the city. It's like, why? You know, why do I have to go into the fucking city too? The gig's at 10. Whatever.
We were just saying that last week.
we were like leaving like Asbury. We're like, we're not going to get there for like 3 hours.
Yeah. I get there. Andrew WK opens the door at 2 p.m. Knock on the door. He answers. And is
when it's time to party, we will party.
Party hard.
No pretend. Hey, I'm Andrew. Let me help you take in your stuff.
Wow.
Like not. Hey, this is my venue. Welcome. Hey, I'm Andrew WK. Welcome. It was. Hey, I'm Andrew. Like, let's bring your stuff in. Like, that was it. Like, if you didn't know, you didn't know. You know, it was very cool. That was a really cool spot. I got pianos in New York City. I was the house band with a band there for years. Wow. This was like a while ago, but I haven't been active in the city in a long time, but. There was at times where I learned to parallel park. So
I know. He had to help me parallel park my truck in the city the last week. I was like, I don't know if I can do this.
Dangerous.
Yeah, it is.
Between a Tesla and like a Maserati. Good luck.
Yeah.
I've been to the Manhattan Impound. It is a experience.
Oh man.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna charge you. They're doing like a new charge now, right? Like like certain blocks.
Well, apparently they're like
gonna charge you to pay just to drive into the city.
Yeah.
It's
crazy,
ridiculous.
Yeah. So,
I mean, that's why I can see like specifically how you stated with like your style of music, how you would like benefit in the South a little bit more because like it's like that bluesy Southern Rocky type of feel. Always has that the keys, you know, like
I can slide in and out of the Allman stuff,
you
know, pretty frequently, and the Dead stuff, you know. Dead scenes are pretty consistent anywhere you go in the country, you know.
Popular.
Yeah. And you know, I think up here is more indie and emo stuff. Mm-hmm. You find it also in the Midwest too.
Absolutely.
I've got some friends in Missouri, and like that is definitely huge there.
Yeah, a lot of emo, like those bands, they're coming a lot from that area now.
Yeah,
it used to be Jersey back in like the early 2000s. All those bands,
smaller towns, you know, like it's. Yeah, I have a buddy who, his name's Jimmy Rector. We've got a company, Super Duper Big Deal Productions. It's his company. I work with him.
Oh, nice. Shout out. Yeah.
That's it. Super Duper Big Deal Productions. And, you know, he has that same kind of passion for bringing the arts to rural communities that don't have that kind of stuff out there.
Right.
And like, you know, because that's how he found it. Was he had a great teacher who, you know, put a video camera in his hands young, and he was drumming, you know, and led the marketing, and now he's often doing all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, it's a very cool scene.
That's a lovely production company name, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
It just reminds me of a movie. I don't know if you ever saw it. It's like a cult classic, Grind. It's a skateboarding movie.
No, but I would imagine there's a very good chance he got it from those guys.
Yeah, they're a skate brand with super duper skates.
Yeah, Jimmy's a huge skater.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, so maybe that's where.
Yeah, probably.
Who knows?
So I know we talked about a lot of the bands that you're into. This might be the same question, but what are your your primary musical influences when writing music?
I would say rhythm and blues. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say vaudeville, even though, you know, I would say musical theater had a huge influence on me, even though I've shunned it for a long time. But Mel Brooks,
we just talked about Mel Brooks.
So I listened Mel Brooks and The Simpsons. Frankly, you know, I didn't realize how much of a musical influence he was until, you know, in hindsight. And like I read his book in the last couple of years, which is incredible. He does his own audiobook, which is
I gotta check that out.
Amazing. But music played such a big role in those movies, and that music came, a lot of that stuff, was the same well that Looney Tunes drew from, was the same well that like a lot of these, like the early vaudeville days, and like, all Mel Brooks and all those older cats, like they cut their teeth in the Catskills back in the day. That was their scene, and like all that kind of, if the comedian was out that night, the sax player had to do a comedy set. Like that was the way that it worked. And that kind of vibe and that kind of energy is something I really, really love. And film music is something I've always loved too, like Danny Elfman and John Williams.
Yeah, John Williams.
Yeah.
Man.
And so all of those kinds of influences came together to create the kind of music that I love to play and write. Is like, very cinematic, but also bluesy, but also singer-songwritery and over the top sometimes, and a little ridiculous. And
yeah. Can you tell us more about your creative process in writing? How you go from like start to finish in writing a song?
It depends.
Yeah,
it really depends. It's,
favorite way.
the analogy I use is like, it's like mining, let's say, and like there's the mining process and there's a refining process, and if you're lucky, you get a gold bar, you get a nice gold nugget out of that mine. And if you're lucky, it's formed, and it is you have to take a lot of the dirt off of the rock, but usually you're not. Usually you've got a clump of mud with a couple specks in there, and like maybe there's a rock in there. Maybe if you shape at it long enough, you can get it. And like that is kind of like how I think of the process. So like, lived experience is how in my opinion, how you can create a good song, because it's authentic. So like you're living and like an idea pops into your head and it's like, oh, that's really cool. And it's like, if you're lucky, I've got a whole song there, and I've got an idea, but usually, it's a line, or it's a melodic line, or it's a piece of music, or it's one melody, or it's something. And then I'll develop it from there. And, I think that, you ever hear the expressions "kill your darlings"?
No, I haven't.
It's an expression that kind of means like, don't hold your own work sacred. In the sense that like, I look at everything I make, I consider myself like an auto mechanic. And if you look around my auto shop, there are half completed cars, there are fully completed cars, there are pieces of engines lying around, there's everything. And it's like, oh, I could take the chorus from that song, and I could take the verse from that song, I could take this and this, and I can rearrange it. So in that way, no work is ever wasted. If I'm working on a song and I can't come up with the verse, but man, I got a great chorus, I'm just going to shelve it, and then maybe sometime down the road, oh, there's my verse, and piecing it together. And again, like that way, no work is ever wasted. It's all just part of the bigger body of work,
Yeah.
That's a great way to articulate that.
Yeah.
How do you usually would record those pieces and like pick them up like later eventually?
Maybe it's an iPhone recording, maybe it's a demo, maybe it's just a chart,
Yeah.
Maybe it's any tune I've ever played with, any band I've ever worked with, I write a chart for. And it's like having a map for a song. And in that way, I have thousands of maps. And it's like I can reference back to maps and I can see, oh, it was really cool how we did this. Or it's like, one of the things I really enjoy too is, I'll play the cover shows are fine, they pay well, but like a tribute show, like I was at a Tom Waits tribute show in the last couple of years, and it's like, here's 30 songs by Tom Waits, and you learn all 30 songs, and it's like, you learn one song, it's like, oh, this is cool, but you learn 30, and all of a sudden it's, oh, this is how he gets that vibe. This is how the chord structure works. This is why he's writing like this. Oh, I've seen this before. And it's like you absorb that style into your canon. And I'm like, and now I can pull from, oh yeah, Tom Waits can do this and Tom Waits can do that. And with different genres of music, it's almost like working in a different dialect. We're all speaking the same language, but like blues has a different dialect than jazz has a different dialect than country, then pop. There's stuff that I would play in a jazz gig I would never play in a pop gig. There's stuff I would play in a pop gig that I would never play in a funk gig. You know, and if you know the dialects, if you know the language, you can move in and out, you know, and still hold on to your, you know, for lack of a better term, your brand as you move between these genres, you know.
Yeah. That's a lot to juggle, and like knowing what's like specific to that certain show. With that being asked, how do you prepare yourself for live performances usually? Is there a certain like ritual you do, or like you just get on stage and you're just used to it this time?
Depends on the gig.
Yeah,
depends on the gig. You know, sometimes if you know, serve the song, not yourself. You know, whatever the gig is, if I'm being paid to know parts, you know, I'm going to learn parts. As I get older and crankier, I'm much more likely now to say, this is what I do. If you like this, hire me. If you don't, find someone else. You know, because I don't want to take someone else's money. You know, and like, I'm not going to put in those 100 hours to be able to do what that guy does. You know, like for instance, like I you know, Roshane is a piano player in town who is a monster at programming sounds and is a synth guy, and that's what he does. It's not really what I do. I can fuck around with that stuff, but like, that's what he does.
I was actually going to ask that question too.
Like, and I'm happy to like, oh yeah, you want that? Like, that's your guy. Like, you need that done. And like, when you have that attitude of like, and that really changed my whole perception of where it was, because when you're younger, it's like every opportunity is like, I need this. Like, God, I can't let this go. Like, of what if, whatever. And now it's like much easier for me to go, you know what? I have only so many hours in a week. Here's what I want to focus on. Here's what I'm really good at. You know, I want to keep getting better at the things I'm really good at. And for the stuff that I'm not, either farm out to somebody else or take the time on my own to progress, not really holding on for dear life to an opportunity because, you know, I can't let this one go.
Right.
You know, which is a really dangerous thing in this business.
Yeah.
Is when you give too much weight to each individual opportunity instead of looking at the bigger picture. And it's like, what am I doing to bring in work in the bigger picture, you know?
With that being said, What a Wonderful Year Music Festival. Is this your first year playing?
No.
This? Second? Third?
I don't quite remember.
Think
second, maybe third.
Yeah. From the first time or second time you've played, what are the things that you've seen change throughout that festival? Has there been any like innovation that you've noticed?
I think that the heart of the festival is the same. You know, it's a bunch of friends coming together to celebrate the year, you know, and like that at its core is what it is, you know, and it's an opportunity to just hang out and see people and support people and get everyone in the same room for a night. You know, that's a powerful thing. A lot of times everyone's gigging all year and working their own thing and doing their own gigs. So to have a chance to like, hey, everybody that we know and want to hang with, here's 2 days, you know, and that's something that you see in the festival scene in general.
Yeah.
You know, as you go to a festival and a lot of these bands, you know, are friends, but they don't get to see each other ever because everyone's working all the time. You know, like I'm not coming out to see someone on a Friday because I'm working, you know, like so a chance that everyone's in the same room for the same reason is a really excellent opportunity just to hang, you know.
Well, so what day are you playing?
Friday.
So okay, great. So that's the first day of What a Wonderful Year Festival.
The 27th, I believe.
Yeah, 27th. Yep, 27th on Friday. Yep. And it's the 8th annual event. We helped with last year in the 7th. It was a great time too. You have any other shows coming up?
You can catch me at the R Bar pretty much every Monday from now until eternity. I'm there with the Stompers every Monday doing like a New Orleans-y, jazzy, bluesy thing. Great place to grab a drink and get a bite. Doing a little bit of touring in the early January and February, playing with these guys, the Fitzky Brothers. Out of Lewis, Delaware. Really talented kids. I love coming in and out of projects, and I love playing with younger musicians too who are still like hungry and just really excited about the whole thing, and it just feeding off of the energy and like keeps me going. And it's really a privilege to play with kids like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, where was the last out of state show you've done? Was it Nashville?
I was in upstate New York
Upstate.
maybe last month.
Last month.
With Johnny in the Basement.
Okay.
There's a band out of Long Island. My buddy Will Bart runs
Island.
that project. Yeah, I tell him I'm
another place where great music is made.
Yeah, they're still
Long
pumping out
Island.
good music.
God bless that place. But my buddy, I told him, is like, you were playing 3 hours up north, I'm down. But if you're playing Long Island, give me a call in the next day.
Still 3 hours.
It's still 3 hours.
Yeah, you got to go through the city and everything like that. Yeah, still New York. And then, you have any new music coming out at all that you're writing? Or
I released my first solo record last year.
Oh, nice.
This year, actually. And it's 6 songs, just me and a piano. It was me on a grand, and it's Hustling in Place is the name of the record, and I'm really excited about having that out there. I worked with the Shady Street Show Band, my old band.
Mm-hmm.
We put out a record a while ago called Revelry that's still out there. I sit on a bunch of projects. I'm probably working on a new record in the next year, but unnamed and undated as of now.
Nice. I love the grand piano. That's amazing. Yeah, because you were saying before, like with synthesizers and everything like that. I love just like traditional piano. Definitely got to check that out. Instagram
everywhere at Ryan Gregg Music.
At Ryan Gregg
3
Music.
G's. Ryan Gregg Music. That's Instagram, that's Venmo, that's TikTok, that's Facebook, that's everywhere. And RyanGreggMusic.com is where you can find my clearinghouse for everything.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I got one more question. Since you brought up Nashville before, we already know the scene's like huge there. What is your take on Nashville? Is it like one of your favorite places, you think? Or
I can't really speak to it because I was in and out.
Oh, you didn't stay.
But in general, cities can be tougher because more supply, less demand,
True.
a lot of players. I mean, you can do great things, no knocking on playing cities. And like, I love New York and Nashville and like New Orleans, but I also really enjoy getting an invite into a smaller space, a more intimate venue at like where you're really meeting people and, it's not just in and out.
Yeah.
But, a city's a city a lot of times.
Yeah.
And Nashville is a behemoth as well as New York, as well as Chicago, as well as LA.
Yeah.
But these smaller scenes around the country sometimes are really great incubators for, excellent bands. And like historically speaking, Alice Cooper's the one who comes to mind, but like he was in LA, he moved to Detroit to get famous,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Detroit.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
That's where he blew up, but he was
in
LA, but like it was a smaller market, easier to break in,
Wow, that's crazy. Because when we bring up people onto the podcast, we know a lot of people that have recorded in Nashville. But yeah, I get it too, because when you're talking about New York, like it's just over dense with like talent, where it's hard to get like noticed because there's so many people.
You got to ask
artists. Sorry,
you got to ask yourself the question, like, is this a vanity metric or is this something that's going to help my career?
That's good. That's a good way to put it.
And there's nothing wrong if it's a vanity metric.
Yeah.
If you need to play New York City to feel like I made it, to feel like you're progressing, to feel like whatever.
Yeah.
Godspeed. I hate to yuck someone's yum. If you need that feather in your cap because you need to play the city, you need to play Nashville because you feel like that's a marker you need to hit.
Yeah.
Great. But
yeah,
what is it really doing to move you forward?
Yeah.
Playing that room to nobody, having the venue pissed at you because you didn't bring anybody,
You
You
see
know,
what happened to people.
exactly.
Like LA, people like go from New Jersey, play like the Viper in like LA.
Yeah.
And then you burn yourself.
Yeah.
And then they're not going to hire you again, even if you do come back with a crowd, you know? So it's like, that is something that I start to ask myself. And again, like, if it's, you know, is it fun? Is it paying me? Is it moving my career forward? It only has to answer one of those questions, you know? So if it's fun and it doesn't move it forward and whatever, like, I don't fucking care. Like, it's great time. Like, I'll play the city, I'll do whatever. But like, pretending that these things are the thing that's going to make you.
Yeah, it matters.
It matters. It's like online marketing. Like, put $50 on an ad spend or whatever, and like, you're gonna get further than playing to know. It's just, you know. But
that's true.
Yeah.
You taught me something today. That's word to the wise. I'm gonna watch that. We're gonna clip that because that is like actually really smart, because it's a different world now. Like, you don't have to really, you can go to those places, but you have like social media now. Like you said, you could do like different ways of like showing yourself to audience.
I found when I was indiepreneur.io, I will scream about these guys to the heavens. I stumbled upon them through Facebook. The ad was put on to me on the side of my Facebook account.
Right.
I ignored it because make it in the music business is like, fuck you. Like, I'm not going to click on an ad. Like, I saw it for an entire year, just kept being pushed, kept ignoring it. And finally I played a gig at the Stone Pony one night, and this guy opened up for us. And all of a sudden, and he told me all of the amazing stuff that came from using this website. And it was the first time I'd heard about this thing outside of the internet. So I'm curious. And then he played, and he was fine. You know, like, he wasn't exceptional. He was good. But like, I looked at what was happening on social media, and like, there's real engagement happening. He's not lying about this. So that is when I started using it. And like, immediately I saw the value in the stuff they're teaching you, because they're taking marketing concepts and they're breaking it down for musicians. So instead of calling it a marketing funnel, they're calling it the buddy system. Instead of calling it, you know, this, they're calling it that, because they're making it palatable for someone who doesn't know this stuff.
Yeah.
I learned everything they taught me. I learned why they were teaching it. And then eventually I got on Clubhouse during the pandemic, and I ended up in a conversation with one of the heads of the company, because she was just on there. And I said to her, you know, your website changed my life. It was a jumping off point for me learning about all this stuff, but it took me a long time to click. You know, like, I saw you guys advertise a bunch. And she goes, we know it takes 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
Data. That's true, though. My God.
Yeah.
I love hearing about the marketing aspect, because I think that's what some people like lack, you know, is that, and that's a really essential part of it.
It is the biggest blind spot for the entertainment business.
Yeah.
For independent creators, because at this point, production costs have gone down for everybody. You know, whether you're making a movie or a record, you can get it made. If you know the guys, if you've got the equipment, you can make it up to code for the business. Again, good or bad is subjective. Up to code for the business is not. You know, is it recorded on the right equipment? Is it the video the right quality? Is it the right format for Netflix? Whatever the fuck it is. But like, you know, but most independent artists lack then, how do I sell this thing that I've made? You know, even distribution now, it's pretty, you know, you can get your shit out there. Like, what's it, $50 for DistroKid, and you get your album in every single place. So it's like, distribution and production are no longer these ridiculous expenses that you have to go to the label for, you have to go to the video production house for. The only lever of power they have left is marketing. So if you know how to run your own marketing, fuck the labels, you know, like, it's, or, you know, not fuck the labels. I mean, labels give really good support, you know, Telegraph gives incredible support, you know, labels give, and on that level, you know, it's incredible, but still it's up to the independent artist to speak to their audience in their voice, because, you know, you can waste so much fucking money on marketing if you don't know what you're doing. It's just like, here's 10 grand, you know, and they're going to deliver for that shit. I'm sorry to ramble. I don't know how much time we got, but like,
no, you can keep going.
Yeah. It's, I got a buddy of mine who worked for a major for years, and I was releasing my record, and part of part of the release of my record last year was really testing these systems that I've been working on, even past the record itself, because I can always write another song. What I'm interested in is the process to get it out there.
Yeah.
And one of the things, like I got a playlist. I got on a playlist. It's great. Like I hired a service and they came through and it was, whatever. My numbers start going up. On paper, it looks all good. And my buddy's like, get the fuck off of that immediately. I'm like, why? He's like, you're fucking with your algorithm. You're screwing up your numbers. Those aren't good numbers.
Really?
So again, because the listens that were happening weren't people that were going to listen to my record or download my record. Again, vanity metrics. It looks good on paper, my numbers are going up, but if you put a magnifying glass to it and you see, oh, here are the amount of people that listen to the song, and here's the amount of people that actually downloaded the song and saved it to their library.
Yeah.
When I put a campaign together that was just pushing the individual song by itself through my own whatever, that number was pretty close together. Even though growth was much slower, still those are real numbers.
Yeah.
Whereas the growth on the other one, like exponential, it looked really good, but it's a waste, like
they're pushing it to the wrong demographic.
This same guy, he worked for the majors. He had artists come in there and they turned him down because their social media was whack, because they were paying to pump their numbers. And if you're putting a digital marketing campaign together, it's using all of the data you have online to push your shit. So if you're giving it wrong shit in, it's going to be wrong shit out.
They're just sending the music to like China and just
exactly. Yeah. But like, and if you've got the money to sustain that to the point where like a major sees you and doesn't, and they're not, but usually those guys are smart enough now anyway.
Yeah.
They look at they're able to look at someone and say, oh, that's fake.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not real engagement. Oh, this guy's like fucking with the system. Like it, and sure enough, like that one song I had on Spotify did poorer overall in some respects on the other tunes because Spotify detected something was going on and put a stop.
And it pulled the numbers down again, or no?
Maybe not. Maybe it didn't do that.
Oh,
Maybe
okay.
it didn't even shadow ban me.
I know YouTube does that. Like if it's overviewed, they'll pull the views out if they know it's like wrong. Like,
but it prevents, and like, and there's not even a human there. It's all the algorithm. So like it senses that like, oh, there's fuckery afoot.
Yeah.
And they're gonna pull back, and like you might not get you'll never get the natural algorithm to help you at that point.
Uh-huh.
That's where really the numbers come in. That's where the real organic growth comes from, is when you trigger something in the system, which is crazy. Again, like, and all this shit I'm talking about, how the fuck is an independent artist who's spending all their time writing music or all their time making videos or all their time writing poetry supposed to know all this shit?
Yeah, no.
And there's a ton of predators in that business who are promoting like free spins, like whatever, like get on this, like how, like it's, and for me, because I've done the education, for me it's like swatting flies. It's like, I don't fucking get away. But like for an artist that doesn't have that knowledge, it's so easy to waste money, and it's my biggest pet peeve, because like you're squeezing a rock. It's not like these people got a ton of money anyway. You're going after somebody who's chasing a dream, and you're exploiting that dream to take more money from them in a way that ultimately, and you're not lying. It's like, oh, I'm going to give you those numbers, and they're going to deliver.
Yeah.
But it's not going to fucking help you. It's vanity metrics,
Yeah.
It's like,
I think you have a little side gig going for you here. You could be like a coach for these people.
A consultant.
Yeah.
Social media consultant.
yeah, here's the thing with that though.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the people that need the most help don't have the money to pay me.
Consultants are very expensive an hour.
Yeah. And like, I'm willing to give this advice away for free. And like, and I'm willing to sit with people, but like, that is the rub with that business, because like there was times where it's like, I'm going to create an education platform. And it's like, but those margins aren't crazy. Like Indiepreneur, they're charging $39 a month for, or it might be more now, maybe $49 a month, which is nothing for like a college level course that they're offering. And if you know what they're giving you, like, it's like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But, and they're charging like $1,500. But again, like, if as an artist, you learn these things along the way. Like friend and family price for a lawyer is $300. I didn't know that until I got into this. 5 years ago, if I had to get a lawyer to look at something and they're like, okay, $300 for 10 minutes, I go fuck yourself, but now I know what they're worth. I know what they cost. And I know that when I see that number, it's a real number.
Yeah.
And I know that if I see a lawyer charging $50 an hour, I'm going to immediately, my antenna is going to go up. It's like, why? Like everyone else is doing 300. Why are you doing this? So it's like, again, education is the cure to all of this, but it's really tough unless you've got people in your orbit that know this stuff to help you out. Otherwise, you're riding blind, you know, and otherwise you're going after vanity metrics, and otherwise you're chasing these things that aren't real. But maybe, you know, the business makes you think it's important, or maybe you grew up watching this so you think that that's important. But like, again, if it's important to you, and like this is the speech I give to all artists, you know, is like, this is the game. This is how it works. Every artist gets to choose how long or how they play this game. If this art is for you and all you care about is getting it out to your people and putting it out there the right way, God bless you. Mm-hmm. Forget about any of this stuff. You don't have to know any of this, and you never have to, and you're never lesser of an artist for not. But like, if you want to get in the game, and if you want to make money off of this, and if you want to this, and this, here are the rules, you know, like, and when you go with your gut instead of going with the data, here's why you failed, you know, like, and that's the rub. Rant over.
Ryan Gregg, everybody. That's amazing. I'm going to rewatch this video over and over again. You gave us free consulting.
New motivation for us.
Yeah, because we have to think of that stuff too. So that's free consulting for us.
Yeah,
Ryan Gregg.
We're all artists. We're all making stuff.
Yeah. You know? Thank you so much for coming in, man. I want to have you in again if you want to talk about more of that stuff.
Happy to.
All right. I'm definitely going to stay in contact. Ryan Gregg, thank you, guys. Yeah. Buy those tickets. What a wonderful year festival, guys. Ryan Gregg. First date, December 27th. Friday, guys. Make sure you get tickets. Wowie Festival. Thank you guys for watching.